I think one of the things that we're doing today is very, very important because, helping churches out there, helping pastors, and helping people get out of debt. I mean, we talk about, there's two things that we talk about. Number one, and Jerry said this a minute ago, he talks about helping pastors and for retirement. But one of the things about retirement is that you got to understand that taxes is one of the biggest problems that you have in retirement. If people are doing 401ks and that type of planning, they've got to have a way to be able to take that money out on a tax-free basis. And I'm telling you what, Jerry and Phil both they know the code. They put this thing together. They've got it where pastors can take the money out tax-free out of qualified plans by doing some really unique things with housing allowance and things of that nature that helps a pastor and his wife actually be able to get a lot better income. I know the story that you tell, and I've seen it. I can't tell it myself, but I know that you talk about the pastor on the whiteboard of making, $56,000 a year, and what you're able to do with him and create a retirement program for him that most of that money coming back to him was tax-free because of the things that you put in place and did for him.
In that case, it's 100%. But so what, Phil, kind of add to that little story. Let me talk about housing allowance real quick. You mentioned it. So housing allowance is the most unique thing in the IRS code I know of. So if you're a licensed, credentialed, ordained minister, licensed, credentialed, or ordained, and you're performing sacerdotal duties according to IRS Code 107, you're being compensated for performing those duties, then you can defer money into a qualified church retirement plan tax-free. And when I say tax-free, it's very unique. So if Matt had a 401k,
right,
Matt's the guy filming this for us. If Matt had a 401k, then Matt would not pay federal or state tax on those deferrals.
Right.
But he does pay the FICA tax, the Social Security tax.
That's correct.
Okay. A minister is a weird place in the code. It's called dual status. Dual status means that the IRS looks at you as an employee, but the Social Security Administration looks at you as self-employed. So you have to pay the SECA tax. You have to pay both sides of the Social Security tax. So you're paying 15.3% in Social Security taxes. Now, we teach churches to give that minister a stipend to help pay that extra portion, but it cannot be a line item on a pay stub. Like it can't be a FICA line on a pay stub. If there's a FICA line and a housing allowance line both on your pay stub, it makes your housing allowance illegal. And so it's a big deal. So we see that a lot. This church we just spoke to, they were doing it right, which is kind of shocking to me. So most of the time they're not. But so having said all that, so when you defer money into your 403B, let's say your spouse has a 401k, they don't pay federal or state on the deferrals, but they pay the FICA tax, which is 7.65. But a minister that defers money into the retirement account, and I hope you're all following the math here, you don't pay federal, state, or Social Security. And because you pay both sides, you're saving 15.3% the first day you put it away.
Yeah.
Where else can you make it but saving it the first day? And a lot of ministers are depending on their spouse to do most of the retirement planning, and just the opposite should be true. So not only are you saving it by paying no taxes. If I had a whiteboard, I'd feel a lot better. We should have had a whiteboard. But why didn't you have a whiteboard, Larry?
I have.
I mean, geez, have mercy. I have a
whiteboard.
So if we had a whiteboard, I'd be drawing on it, and I would be saying that housing allowance is orange because it's my favorite color. Salary is green because I don't like green. But your deferrals into your retirement account are gold because you don't pay any taxes when you defer it. And then to the extent that you draw it out as housing allowance, and I'll say something here, Dave Ramsey is not part of the Godhead. He's not a third person in the Trinity, and some of you just turned me off.
Into that.
So he's telling ministers to pay their house off. Well, I'm not a math major, but if 5% interest is less than 25% taxes, and both are considered debt, I think I'd rather pay the interest. So having a house payment, as long as you're able to use that money that you deferred and you paid no federal, state, or Social Security, as long as you're able to defer it as housing allowance, you pay no taxes. So that begs the question, what's housing allowance? So Larry, I've taught you this like 100 times. So tell me what housing allowance is. He's going to mess this up, folks.
No,
just so you
I'm
know.
not. Housing allowance is everything that you spend on a house except clothing and food.
Boom. You get
anything that you say to run that house, cell phone, internet, cutting the yard. It doesn't matter. Anything you spend on that house is a housing allowance. And it can be up to
100% of your income.
100% of the income.